You don't keep abusing me every day and expect me to take the tag of survivor to make you feel good.
This is still News Central. Dorothy is still with me, sharing her story, a historic, a landmark judgment against the Federal Republic of Nigeria in terms of violations, human rights violations against her and 3 other women. We were talking, we had to take a break, which is absolutely fine, but we were talking and you were sharing how people moved away from you, accommodation became an issue, and your work, your profession was as an entertainer, was in the Nigerian entertainment industry and beyond, and you lost all of that.
People said that I'm the enemy of the government, so that it didn't make sense for them to cast me on their films because they needed politicians to make it to their film premieres. Wow. And then I'm an events anchor. I speak for a living. I anchor events. And so they'll tell me, oh, government officials are going to be at the event, and so we cannot take you on. And so within the space, I was beginning to seemingly lose relevance. And so I had to do the oddest of jobs. I had to live in the oddest of places. My things were thrown out several times. There's no structure for human rights defenders to latch onto just for the fact that we're human beings in Nigeria to get some kind of support. My health deteriorated. My mental health got from bad to worse. At some point, even while it was at the peak of it, I contemplated taking my life. Because what more is there? The support structure that there was supposed to be was a reminder that everything was bad. And it wasn't there. But here I am today. The ECOWAS court judgment was the first validation. And after the ECOWAS court judgment, in 2018, Amnesty International USA honored me with the Janetta Sagan Award. And this was huge. I mean, only me one, small me one from Nigeria here, just using my mouth, like struggling to survive pretty much. Yeah. And there are people who are appreciating the impact. Because we got to the point of needing to tell the story, for people to know the issues. Prostitution was not the problem. Victimization of women was the problem. And so the release of the documentary Silent Tears helped a lot for people to put things into context.
And perspective.
Yes, because everybody says AEPB. AEPB was just one of the people. AEPB was the coordinator of the problems. Nigerian Army was unleashed on women. Nigerian Police, NDLEA, Road Safety, VIO, everything.
Okay, let's expand this conversation and bring it more up to date. Now, in early 2019, in which we are now, another situation very similar to that of Dorothy's happened in Abuja, Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. About 71 women were picked up and they were accused of being prostitutes. And this is years after Dorothy's case. And many people would think that an 18 million naira judgment would cause an agency to rethink how they operate and to think their engagement with women, but that's obviously not the case. So the 71 women were picked up in Abuja on April the 21st, 2019 by armed security forces led by the Abuja Environmental Protection Board. Now, Nigeria's National Human Rights Commission has come into the situation. The commission has constituted a panel, a very special panel of inquiry into the incidents in not just Abuja, but in other parts of Nigeria. So you're also involved in this situation. What exactly is the National Human Rights Commission looking for?
The National Human Rights Commission wants people to make submissions and to validate the claims that women are being abducted by state actors nationwide. So there's so many claims. There are supposedly so many claims. There are a lot of people who said they didn't know anything. Suddenly, even with the ECOWAS court judgments, a lot of people claim that, when I say a lot of people, I'm talking about those who are supposed to give us the damages, who are supposed to pay us damages, claim they didn't know anything about the case. So it's a presidential committee
that will report to the vice president at the end of its investigation.
Yes, and for what it's worth, everybody who has suffered, every female who has suffered violence or has met violence in the hand of a state actor. When I say state actor, I mean anybody that the person's work represents government, police, army, navy, air force, whatever. If you have suffered violence in the hands of a state actor, and you see, these are the people who we think of first when we talk of state actors. The one for this year was largely conjointly orchestrated by the Social Development Secretariat. So if anybody wanted to have interventions for women and children or something, they will go through the Social Development Secretariat. But the lady in the Social Development Secretariat said that their mandate is to ensure that the females in Abuja are marriageable. Who told her that we all want to marry? Is it by force? Wow. I don't want to live her life. I have my dreams. I have my aspirations. She is in no way the moral yardstick. And you see, what's Boko Haram doing? Forcing people to do what they think people should do.
Yeah. So
there's
what makes
no difference
different?
as far as I'm concerned between her and any terrorist that is identified all over the world.
So let me ask you, have women started coming forward with their complaints, with their allegations to the commission? Because the commission is saying that they will be going around the country, they will be having hearings, and that they want people to come forward and share their stories. So they have started. It will wrap up eventually. But have we been seeing women, or even the families of some of these women, come forward and make the complaints and share their stories?
For now, the prevalence of the memoranda that have been submitted to the commission are by civil society. The victims involved do not know that this call has been made. Wow. These people target women, persons with disabilities, and then petty traders. And so pretty much what is criminalized is womanhood, disability, and poverty. Yeah. That's what is criminalized. But where did they announce this call for memoranda? Highbrow news networks, in national news networks, and in the national dailies. These people who are on the road as petty traders cannot afford these things. So, in fact, giving this platform for this message to go out is an awesome one. There's supposed to be hearings in Lagos, somewhere in the southeast, but the commission or the committee has made it clear that they are still accepting submissions. Okay. So, if you have been harassed in any way by a state actor, and like I said, it's not only people who are military or have military inclinations that are possible violators. I gave the clear example of the Social Development Secretariat in Abuja. And the FCT Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Response Team is, the Secretariat is in the Social Development Secretariat. Wow. So you can imagine how much of a mess it is. You can imagine how somebody with such a mindset addresses domestic violence issues or sexual violence issues. It's cause for concern. There's so many square pegs in round holes. Okay. And while we're calling on the government to do the reforms, we still need to engage. We need to bring our evidences in mass. Let it not be only Dorothy's case that is out there.
Do you ever think you'll get the money?
Yes.
You do?
I won't stop.
Okay.
We will continue advocating. Anywhere Nigeria goes to say that they are defending women's rights, we will be there to tell them how they are defending women's rights. What I'm even getting is not comparable. It's 6 million naira per person to 3 people.
This might be difficult, but what I want you to share 1 or 2 stories of some of the women that you've been engaging with in how they're working to become survivors. Because right now, for many, when we try to use the terminology, we've been told as the media that the terminology now is survivor, not rather victim. And because people do survive, but even if your physical body has survived, we have to talk about people's mental health. Some people survive with STDs or HIV or physical injuries from some of the attacks that are happening. So what are some of the stories, particularly for you, maybe just 2, that have stood out to you in the work you've done?
I'll start by saying that people become survivors when they get the help they need to transit into survival stage. But you don't keep abusing me every day and expect me to take the tag of survivor to make you feel good. That's what the Nigerian system makes people do. We are still victims until I'm able to get a roof over my head without looking left or right. I'm hardworking. I'm very calculative. I have track records. I'm a filmmaker. I do a lot of things. Until we're able to do things right, then we are still victims because the emotional trauma continues. Yeah. A lot of things are daily triggers to us. There was a woman whose children were raped, and then she treated herself and her children for STDs. After which, the next time her children were abducted, she offered herself, and in the presence of her children, she was gang raped.
By people
by the AEPB people.
The Nigerian states.
Yes. In what way does that bring honor and glory or dignity to the Nigerian name? In December 2012, of the women who were taken to the River Plate Park, I was called in to intervene because some women went to hospital, and once they mentioned that it was AEPB that was the people that arrested them, they call them task force in Abuja.
Yeah.
They said, "Yusef, what were you doing at that time of the night in the hospitals?" And because of that, some women refused to go through with their medicals. Remember that they were raped without any protection. About 3 months after, we have people, whose medical status gave different, very alarming results, and the government is not supporting any of them. None of them. I called one woman, I said, I beg, you don't go hospital since that time. She said, at that time when I go, say I carry belle and my man still there with me. So I don't want to lose my man. I don't relocate, go Anambra with my man. I say, okay, no problem. But still go check, because it gets some kind of things where people can't carry from that thing, where, it go good, make you know your status, make you know whether you need support or you don't need support. She said it better make I deal with her, because if he follow catch the disease, he not go won't leave me.
Because it'll be the two of them that
She asked me a question. If I leave him, you get place to give me, make I dey stay. I don't even have a place. I wasn't even assured of, myself. And then how am I going to take her on? And then when we go to so many places, the big organizations tell us, oh, you don't have certain documentations to prove that you can handle certain degrees of funding and all of it. It's the big organizations we deal with. The big organizations are not the ones doing the grassroots work. There was also one of the cases that I'm very aware of, where the condition for the lady to be reaccepted into her family was that she had to get married. This was somebody who didn't have marriage as on her agenda. And to please her family, the next available person, she got married. Realistically, all she did was try to buy her way back to her family, because she was used to her family. Her family was the support system she knew.
Yeah.
And she didn't get married because she loved him. She got married because she just wanted to. And these are just a few of the people. Oh, we've had people who committed suicide. We've had people who killed themselves. And one of them is a top, fairly well-to-do lady. And at the time, she said she doesn't understand how I'm able to talk about the horrible things people do. She had tried several times, and I heard eventually she's dead. It's so many people. There's so many situations. The legal burden of appearing in court every time you call these people, it's an emotional torture all over again. They lose a day's
wages. Some of them may have to travel.
Did you say a day's wages? If you Google so many of our names, the first thing that comes up is prostitution. And for so many hypocritic organizations that will not do their research, they will not employ. And so this is on so many levels, putting us through multiple victimization. It's messed up everywhere, But with platforms like this, our voices count. And as long as our voices count, I mean, today I will sleep.
My question is, as we wrap things up, what's next? We talked about whether or not you believe you'll get the money. You say you're going to pursue this for as long as you can. But beyond that, what's next?
What next? Simple. Continued advocacy. There are so many people that still live with injuries of these abductions. Remember that there are thousands unaccounted for, and the fear of stigmatization is still with them. There's so many women that I know still would test positive for, or have tested positive for, a lot of diseases, including HIV, owing to the rapes, and nobody's taking care of them. A lot of women need to find healing. Mental health conversations need to improve. The more people need to make better informed decisions. So for me, an investment in creating content, to artistically interpret all the legal lexicon into formats that people at grassroots level can appreciate the content, so that they make better informed choices. That's next for me. Until I breathe my last, I will keep on helping to improve capacity of people, especially at community level. See, let's assume messages are lost mid-traction. You have more people at the base and less people at the top, right? If we start and if we empower those at the base and the mid-traction is it, then imagine we'll have the numbers that we need.
At the base.
But for now, we have a lot of people who are not making informed decisions. A lot of people are leaving it to God. Meanwhile, God has given you a brain so that you can process things. So if we can build capacity of those at grassroots level, then Nigeria will truly be better.
All right, I'll end this here, and I want to just say a very big thank you for joining us. I know you share your story. You're not shy about sharing the story. You're not shy about it at all. But also, I know that every time a conversation about it comes up, it takes you back there a little bit. And the strength that you are bringing to telling these stories is very admirable. Dorothy, thank you so much. This is News Central. I'm Tolulokwe Adele Balogun.